What's going on, guys? I'm Duncan Deep, and first things first, I would like to thank Nintendo for providing me with this game early so that I could produce these guides for you and get you guys excited and into Monster Hunter Generations. I know that a lot of you are already Monster Hunter veterans and huge fans of the series just like me, but this is the absolute beginner's guide. Don't worry, more advanced guides will be following for the veterans among you. This guide is going to focus on helping new players understand the basics of the game. When you start up your game, you'll get a character creation screen. It's very simple. Go through, create your character however you want. No choices you make here are particularly important. Things like your voice, however, will not be able to be changed later on, but other parts of your appearance, such as your hairstyle, can be, and you are not locked into the weapon style or the abilities you choose during character creation, so please don't worry about that. Once you've gone through this character creation, you'll end up in Baruna Village. Now we're going to talk about something that's really important in this game, and that's these speech bubbles that are above the characters' heads. These are super important. Yellow will mean that new information or new items are available from the vendor or character, and red will mean that it will advance the game by unlocking new quests or new towns or similar. So we're going to start by talking to the chieftain. He's going to explain what is going on, and then we're going to ignore the other red speech bubble, contrary to what I just said, and head inside our house, because we're going to take a look at all of the options that you have in this game. Monster Hunter Generations is all about choice. You hunt how you want to. Over here, we have the item box. The item box is your friend. You can store your active items here, so potions, whetstones, stakes, things that you use during hunts, as well as your rewards from those hunts, so the monster parts that you use to create new weapons and similar. Don't worry, there is loads of space in the item box. You are very, very unlikely to fill it all the way up. Your pouch, however, is more limited. You have 3 pages to fill with items to help you on quests. That's the potions and stakes and whetstones that I talked about earlier. For our first quest, we're not actually going to need any of these items, as it's a low rank hunt and items will be provided for us. We also have a 4th extra page if you are a gunner for ammunition. Don't worry about that for now, I will talk to it in a later video. Next up, we've got our equipment. This is where we choose what weapon and armor we're going to use. There are 14 different weapon types to choose from in this game, and they all offer a significantly different experience to each other. I would strongly recommend that you experiment with all of them, which you can do right now in the free demo, which is available on the eShop, as every player has their own preference. For example, I love the gun lance. I am gun lance for life. It is my favorite weapon. My friend Kyle Ken is a huge fan of the sword and shield, probably one of the best sword and shield users I've ever seen. It's really up to you. I love using every single weapon, but Gunlance is my pet favorite. Every single weapon is powerful in its own right. Armor is also very important in Monster Hunter. As a new player, you are going to get hit. Your armor is the difference between surviving and riding the kiddie cart back to base after being wiped out. And in addition to keeping you alive and having defenses, armor also provides armor skills, buffs which improve your character and give you special abilities, and I will cover those in much more detail in a later video in this series. Now that we've selected a weapon and armor, we're going to decide which style we will be hunting with. Hunting styles are a new feature in Monster Hunter Generations, which add a new layer to the personalization of your hunting style. The basic style, which is the same as every previous game, is the guild style. It's a balanced style, and veteran hunters will certainly be more comfortable with it off the bat. It does have a new addition, however, in Hunter Arts, super attacks which charge up over time until they're ready to be unleashed. Tap your touchscreen in order to do that. Guild style will allow you to select up to 2 of those Hunter Arts. Striker style is for people who love those Hunter Arts. It takes away some of the more versatile moves available to your weapon in the guild style, but in return, it allows you to use up to 3 Hunter Arts instead of 2. This style can be very effective in the right hands. Players can combo from one super attack to the next for massive damage. One of my favorite things to use in Striker style is the Sword and Shield. Striker style Sword and Shield, absolutely incredible. It loses very little in my opinion, and it gains a great deal. Aerial style is a style which many hunters have found to be very exciting and a lot of people are looking forward to. Your forward roll, which is your dodge, is replaced with a front flip, which if it makes contact with the monster will launch you high into the air, ready to unleash an aerial onslaught. One of the favorite combinations of the developers were the aerial dual swords, and for good reason. Becoming a spinning top of aerial death is a lot of fun. The downside of aerial style is twofold. First, you are limited to just one of those Hunter Arts, so you have to choose very wisely. Second, you do lose some of your versatility on the ground. Many of your weapon's signature moves will be restricted to aerial attacks. For example, the aerial bow limits the level 3 charge of a bow to aerial attacks only. Finally, we have Adept style, formerly known as Bushido style, and it's a personal favorite of mine. It requires really precise timing, but it promotes highly aggressive play. In Adept style, when you dodge through a monster's attack, which is by rolling or dodging into the monster's hitbox so that your roll frames will hit their attack, you will perform the Adept dodge, diving through the attack unscathed. After this dodge, you'll be able to perform a powered-up attack unavailable outside of this maneuver. Some weapons use large shields and promote blocking over dodging. These weapons can also perform the Bushido or the Adept block. This block is a perfectly timed block which will also trigger the Adept special attacks. Like aerial style, the Adept style is limited to just one hunter art and is only an effective choice if you can successfully pull off the perfect dodges or blocks required to trigger the style. Now that we've covered all our weapons and styles, albeit briefly, there is one more way to hunt that we haven't mentioned. In order to do this, you will need a Palico or cat companion. To get your first Palico, leave your house, turn down this road and head to the Palico farm. Once you're here, you can head up and talk to the Meowstress. She will ask you what kind of Palico you want, and you can create it in a similar way to creating your character. Once you've got your Palico, you can then go down to the Palico board in the center of this area or in your house in order to switch over to Prowler mode. This is the mode in which you control your Palico Hunter instead of your human hunter, and it's very different and generally support-oriented to the standard hunting styles with weapons. While you can hunt solo as a Prowler, and it can actually be very effective, for beginners I would suggest using this only when you're gathering or hunting with friends. You equip your Palicos in the same way as your hunter by using this board. You can even create new weapons and armors for your Palicos later on. Palicos aren't actually limited to being Prowlers, that isn't even their original purpose. They can also accompany you on quests, helping you gather, hunt, and distracting the monsters to keep you alive. For new players, I highly suggest bringing them along. No harm can come of it, and in order to do so, you select them on the board like this, and they will follow your hunter wherever he goes. You can bring up to 2 Palicos hunting with you. You can recruit many different Palicos throughout the game, all with their own unique abilities and benefits. It's something you should definitely take into account while playing. Now that we've covered the myriad options you have in this game as ways to hunt, it's time to accept our first quest. Before you can do that, you need to clear all of the red speech bubbles in town. It's a quick intro into the town and the lore, which is always a lot of fun. As a fair warning to new players, however, expect lots of puns in Monster Hunter games. Once we've cleared all of these red bubbles, we can talk to our friendly burner gal to select a quest. We're going to start with a simple gathering quest. Select it and accept it, and you'll receive this quest ticket above your head. A quest ticket means you're ready to head out, and you will be limited to doing just that while it's around. While you can use the main village, you can't head back into your house or to the Palico farm unless you either clear the quest or quit it. In order to quit it, you can just talk to the gal again, no harm done. Once you have the ticket, head up the path and head out on your first expedition. Gathering quests are really simple. Head out into the field, collect the required items, and return it to the base. If you need to check which items you need to collect for this quest, you can press start and go down to quest info in order to check. And there is lots of stuff around to help you, especially in these low rank quests. In the base, there's a blue box which will contain items to help you. The map will reveal the full area and all of its zones, and tell you which zones link to which and how to travel between them. You'll also be provided with potions for healing, whetstones for sharpening your weapon, and rations to boost your stamina. To select an item to use it, hold the L button down, and with A and Y scroll through the items, and then release the L button to select the item you want to use. Once it's selected, pressing the Y button with your weapon sheathed will use that item. Drinking a potion, eating a ration, sharpening your weapon, all have an animation which will leave you vulnerable, so please be careful when you're using items. Now that we've covered that, let's go and collect the required items. So we're going to cover item collection. So for this quest, we need 10 unique ferns, and in order to collect them, we are going to have to head out of home base. If we head to a gathering point outside of the home base, however, we will see that we can hold A to begin gathering. This can only be done with your weapon sheath. Gathering in this game has been sped up compared to previous Monster Hunter games, and you just hold A down and you will gather much faster than before until the spot is completely exhausted. Once it's exhausted, move on to a new spot and keep searching for the items that you need You will get used to where different items are as you play the game a bit more. In this quest, there is a sub-quest for 10 unique mushrooms. Sub-quests are not required to clear the quest that you're doing, but if you do complete them, they will provide you with extra rewards, which are often very worthwhile, so they are something to keep in mind. For this, we're not going to bother. Some gathering spots will require you to have specific gathering items. These will be insect spots that require bug nets and ore spots that require pickaxes. Here's an example of gathering a bug without a bug net. As you can see, I can't do it. And here's an example of gathering an ore using the pickaxe that I need. As you can see, pickaxes can also break during gathering, so be careful with that when gathering your resources, guys. Once you've gathered all the items the quest requires, you can return to the base camp and run to the red chest. This is the delivery chest, and into this we will put our 8 ferns and complete the quest. Once the quest is completed and we've waited our 20 seconds to get home, you will see a series of reward screens. These can be sent directly to your item box from the reward screen. It's very, very simple, and you can just store them in your house for safekeeping. Right, we're back in the village, and now we know how to both complete gathering quests and to take new quests. So now we're going to cover hunting quests. These are the most common type of quest in the game and will more often than not require you to hunt a large boss-style creature. However, today I'm going to be hunting 10 small macaw. They're relatively harmless monsters. It's just a good way to get used to hunting, and that's why it's the first hunting quest the game gives you. In order to give our hunter an edge, after accepting the quest, we're going to eat a special meal. Talk to the chef cat in order to experiment with ingredients to create new meals, as I'm showing you how to do here. So we're going to be combining these 2 meats to create a new meal. The chef explains it to you. It's very, very simple. And now that we've got this new meal, we can sit down and eat. We're going to use the voucher that we were just given in order to do so, and then we're going to select the meal that we just created in order to get that small attack boost. Once you've selected your meal, you need to select your sauce. Different sauces give different boosts. In this case, I'm going to go for this one because it gives Feline Black Belt, which reduces my stamina usage, and Feline Booster, which gives me a stat boost for the first few minutes of the quest. Lots of attack up, really nice. As you progress through the game, you will realize that eating the correct meal for the upcoming quest is actually quite an important thing, and it can give you just the edge you might need to beat a particularly difficult monster. Right, now that we've eaten, it's time to head out on our first hunt. Alright, here we are. Hunting quests require you to kill creatures, which means you're going to need to know how to attack. Pressing X will unsheath your weapon and get you ready to attack, and with your weapon out, X and A will result in different attacks, and combinations of those buttons will result in different combos. Every weapon is very different, and they all have different special abilities, combos, and hunter arts. I may eventually make my own weapon guides, but honestly, my 2 friends, Gaijin Hunter and Arekz, their links are down below, have both created incredible weapon guides, which will show you all the ins and outs of whatever weapon you want to use. Even their stellar guides, however, are no replacement for good practice, so once again, I would urge you to grab the demo now and jump in advance of getting the game. With any weapon, sheathed or unsheathed, pressing the B button along with a direction will execute a dodge. Dodging is incredibly important in Monster Hunter. I would say even more important than knowing how to attack. And I can't stress enough that getting your dodge skills down, knowing when you can interrupt your attack combos as well, is very, very important. Once you kill a monster during a hunt, you can get materials from it. Sheathe your weapon by pressing Y and walk up to the monster's corpse. Press A, just like gathering from a gathering spot, to carve off monster parts for use in creating new weapons and armor. Most boss monsters will have around about 3 carves, some will have even more than that, up to 9, but these macaw have just 1. Once you've killed all the monsters required by the quest, with big monsters early on this will often be just 1, but later on you'll have to do even multi-big monster hunts. It will say that you've cleared this quest, just like with the gathering quest. No need to return to base camp in a hunting quest. Once the quest is cleared, you wait 60 seconds in a hunting quest as opposed to the 20 in a gathering quest, and then you go to your reward screen again. Make sure to pick up all your supplies because they will be very useful to you later on. Right, there's one more thing I'd like to cover in this beginner's guide, and that's equipment crafting and upgrading. If you head to the blacksmith in town, he will allow you to forge new weapons or armor, as well as upgrading what you already have. Forging new weapons or armor requires specific resources obtained in quests, and each of these weapons will then have multiple different upgrade paths, imbuing them with elemental powers, extra sharpness, and higher damage output. For now, we're just going to upgrade our dual swords by 1 level. Select upgrade and then the weapon you wish to improve, and provide the required resources. This upgrade, for example, requires 4 ore. I'm going to use 2 iron ore, which count for 1 ore each, and 1 earth crystal, which is valued at 2 ore. I could instead use 4 iron ore or 2 earth crystals. I could even just use 1 macrolite ore. This stage of upgrading gives you a great deal of flexibility in what you use. Certain key stages, such as the upgrade into the insectors here, require very specific items from very specific monsters, encouraging you to hunt many different types of monsters in order to get all of your weapons. I really hope this guide helped all of you in beginning a Monster Hunter journey. Veteran players, don't worry, I have a whole series of guides coming out, all the way up to some of the most advanced techniques used by hunters today. Most importantly, guys, happy hunting everybody. Enjoy Monster Hunter Generations.